I fuck a bitch, I forgot name. I can't buy me no wetter rain. Rather go and buy ball mains. Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
Hey guys, this is All the Way Gray, episode 3, and we have our special guest, and he's not really even a guest, he's our host, Mac. How are you doing today?
A lot better now. It is a special guest considering I missed the first two.
I mean, the second one was a demo episode I did in Eugene, Oregon, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to make that due to work.
Yeah,
but
that's what happens when you work on
life.
an egg farm, though, and I went, March, beginning of April, yeah. So It was right around Easter, so I can see why eggs are kind of a big deal in Easter and all that shit, you know? So we have a couple topics to talk about today, and the main topic we're talking about is we have a little list to go off of, and it's more or less to see exactly why me and Mac can argue and talk. So, first topic today, Mac, is who is better? The Doors, which is one of your favorite bands, or Tupac? And Tupac Shakur, the West Coast God.
You mean the West Coast God from the East Coast?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically. He's from New York, but he claims West Coast, and I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too. I just like to point that out to people.
I see why. But, I mean, let's get into this, really. I want to actually discuss this because I am straight up for Tupac. Like, I like the Doors. Jim Morrison was cool and all, but it's Tupac fucking Shakur.
Yeah, and I love Tupac Shakur, don't get me wrong, but we're also talking about Jim Morrison here, who, during his time, put some great tracks out, was singing from poetry
And Tupac
on a
wasn't.
whole different level because he was high the entire time.
So was Tupac. He always had a blunt in his mouth. That motherfucker was
Not-
smoking daily.
Not weed.
Oh, Tupac was still drinking. He was still under the weather most days. Like, you know, he wasn't
Well,
fully sober.
You've seen the Jim Morrison, the Doors movie, which really just is Jim Morrison movie. It's
Okay,
not the
if we're
Doors.
going to bring up movies, Tupac's movie's garbage. I'm not going to deny that.
He-
But,
yeah.
but, let's talk about this then. Let's really see exactly who was a better person then.
Probably Tupac.
Thank you. But only because Jim Morrison.
I didn't know we were talking about who was better, Tupac, or who was a better person, Tupac or Jim. I thought we were talking about
Well,
music
I mean,
here.
if we're going to talk about in today's society, especially where it's like we can say Morgan Freeman's a great actor, we can say Kevin Spacey's a great actor, but they're both monsters. Quotation on Morgan Freeman because I still fucking love him.
I honestly don't think that he's a monster. Kevin
just-
Spacey, yeah, I mean,
He's a victim of age.
yeah,
That's
he's an
what
old
it
man
is.
just trying to grab
He's a
some.
victim of age. That's all he is. No, but if we're going to talk about this in today's society, if this all happened today, like Jim Morrison locked his girlfriend in a closet and lit the house on fire, today he'd be considered an outlawed monster.
Oh yeah, no, that would have definitely been all over TMZ, but I'm not actually exactly sure if that was factual or if the movie took a little bit of a...
So you think Oliver Stone kind of like
it
sprinkled a
is
little dust
actually,
over it?
No, it is known that he did sprinkle dust all over that
Like he
bitch.
deviated from the original
Oh,
story?
like a lot.
I mean, I get that, but I mean...
That's why a lot of
but
Morrison
the
fans
thing is,
were
like,
pissed because
Morrison
they're like,
was
wait, he
always
never did
known
that.
to be kind of an ass. Like, he usually always tried... He punched people. He got in fights. I mean, granted, he was a badass in his time for lighting a blunt on stage. I'm not going to deny that. But Tupac was walking around with blunts. He was like, yeah, fuck it. And this was in the 90s when black people had a hard time being around cops in general. I mean, harder than it is today.
You gotta think, with all previous artists, they kind of paved the road. Back in Morrison's days, during the 60s and 70s, that wasn't okay. We're talking about like right in the middle of the hippie movement and him being one of the faces of the hippie movement
Yeah.
for a large majority. And he was one of the guys that, when it was all going down, was willing to smoke right on stage, where during Tupac's time, he could do that and no cops arrested him.
He still got arrested.
Oh, he got arrested, but
got arrested.
not
He got
on
beat.
not on stage. Like if you could see some of the footage of Morrison in one of the crowds, and there's naked people everywhere dancing and all this shit, and there is literally 40 plus cops around the stage. We're not even talking like security guards. We're straight up talking NYPD.
Okay, so how about this then? Let's talk about singles then. How many people nowadays listen to California Love still, you think?
Oh, a lot.
compared to like the Doors, like
It's also newer and resonates with a lot different generation, and also is a complete different genre.
okay. So
But
are
it's
you saying the
still-
rock genre is dead completely then, or
No, it's just not still in popularity where rap is still popular, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Tupac's better because of the fact that rap is still in mainstream circulation.
yeah? I mean, I can't deny that one at least, but it's like Tupac. So the reason I think he's just better is because he didn't just rap. He didn't just rap about life and stuff. He rapped about civil rights, movements, women, all that stuff. He didn't talk about just women in a sexual way like most rappers. Like, yeah, he did. But he also talked about, like, you had to respect your mother. You had to respect people. And then he wrote his diss songs, like, obviously hit him up and stuff. But, I mean, I think that the reason why I think Tupac's better is not just because he's an artist or because he was an actor as well, but because he was an activist on top of that, too, where he actually pushed narratives ahead of it as well with that. I mean, if we're talking about like Jim Morrison, I mean,
Jim Morrison, if I like to think of it, is the original basis of what rap went for.
I mean, if we're going to talk about that, we got to obviously bring up my theory of Kendrick Lamar being fully inspired on the track "Blood" on "Damn."
Yeah.
Because that has to be inspired by like the Highwayman.
Oh yeah, no, we both agree. It's the album that they released after he died because he had done slam poetry for everyone listening, on using tracks that were his more famous songs like Ghost Ship, Riders of the Storm, and you can hear them in the background, but all he's doing is putting poetry over that. It was recorded way, way, way before he died, but they refused to release it because of what he said. He swore up a storm. He said cunt several times. Like, he didn't give a fuck.
Nor did Tupac, though. Tupac didn't give no fucks at all. I mean, we talked about,
well,
like...
we're also talking about the times. Tupac's times, he was allowed to say that. They literally wouldn't let Morrison talk about that. That album didn't get released till way after he died because of his death. That's the only reason why that got released.
Yeah, but I mean, Tupac, his diss track that hit him up, his security guard even said, we're going to have to hire more security guards because he knew exactly that the retaliation was inevitable. He knew that that this is going to get you killed regardless. That's what he was basically saying. Like, you're going to die for just saying this shit. Like, think of him more badass. Tupac is more badass, and I just think... I mean, like I said, he was a social activist. He had every right to be just where he was. He was born in a time where they needed someone like Tupac. Ice Cube was saying stuff, but they weren't saying stuff like he was. They were saying, like, fuck the police. But Tupac was saying, Brenda's got a baby, which still resonates. I mean, all the songs that he has written resonate still to a generation today.
Yeah. And... I feel like if a lot of more people were listening to Morrison, then you'd also find the same characteristics. Like we were saying, obviously Kendrick got inspiration from Jim Morrison.
But he also got inspiration from Tupac.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't deny Jim Morrison's not a good artist. There's no denying that at all.
Yeah, we're both not denying that any of these guys are great artists. We both love these guys.
By the way, sorry about that, all the guests are hearing. That's our dogs walking around because they are bored and they just want to walk around. And we honestly just forgot to lock them up before the podcast. So, but to continue, Tupac is better than the Doors.
Yeah, I think right after this we'll lock them up and pause this real quick. But we'll continue.
Okay. So, I mean, in all reality, though, the Doors aren't a bad artist. I still listen to them. I still listen to some of their hits. But it's like, for a movement itself, what they did inspire certain artists. But I feel like Tupac was... every rapper, most musicians nowadays use Tupac as a big inspiration. There's not, unfortunately, a lot of even rock artists are still using the Doors as inspiration. Nowadays, it's more of like a band from the 80s or 90s that are an inspiration. Like, I was inspired by so-and-so compared to the Doors.
Well, yeah, we're looking at time.
Yeah.
And also you have to... the way I look at it, too, is if you look at it, it's mainstream to say that you're from Tupac, or that you resonate and are inspired by Tupac. Everyone does it to the point where it kind of seems like, are they just saying this to say it?
Okay. I get that, but
Come on, all of the big guys have said it. I mean, they probably have
Well, they
been,
didn't
but at the
say it
same
before.
time,
Like Tupac was such an innovator with that, because Ice Cube said said stuff like that before as well with that, as well as NWA and a couple of people as well with that, like fuck the police, cop killer, stuff like that. Those are all very provocative and very controversial topics and songs that came out during that time frame. But I mean, Tupac himself, what he was doing, he was just making movements. I mean, he worked with an HIV-positive actress. He really started to work with a lot of things as well. I mean, he was more of an artist in the sense of not even just being, limited to his rap. He was more of an artist, like, I want to do this, and I want to do that as well. And I want to stay out of the spotlight, but then when he got into the spotlight, he shined. And that's why he still resonates today. And so a lot of people, that's why they keep coming out with books. They still have, like, a couple albums still to release after his death as well. And he was just such a motivational artist that people are still getting him tattooed on him. Not to say that Jim Morrison's not getting tattooed on him, but I think Tupac himself is just, to me, he's that guy that I relate to. I can't relate to Jim Morrison in almost any sense. But I can still enjoy his music.
yeah, I mean, and that's okay. But I also would like to go back to the fact that it's the times and the legend of one genre in the time that it's the most famous. Those were the days.
You sound like you yearn for those days, Frank.
Yeah.
All right, so here, I'm going to actually do this really... All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Had to put the dogs away because we did not realize how loud they were. And I just got a text from my sister saying that my grandparents are deleting Netflix because the Obamas are now on Netflix. My grandpa's a pretty staunch Republican, if you couldn't tell. I just... They even said they're not going to use it to do even actually, political pieces against Trump. I mean, not to say, I support Trump. I didn't support all the things Obama did either. But things like, I didn't know exactly all the facts of what I wanted to do initially when I did vote. But that's one because I was completely misinformed when I did vote initially. Because I did vote for Romney initially. But I didn't have all the facts, honestly. And honestly, I just kind of went with it because I just graduated from high school and everyone told me, do you want your guns taken away? No? Okay. Then don't vote for Obama. That's all I knew. That's literally all that I fucking knew.
Yeah. I always hate it when people do this kind of things when it comes to the NFL with the kneeling and everyone burning all their jerseys. I always think it's the dumbest shit on the planet, and I mean that. It is the dumbest shit on the planet. It's so
stupid. They shouldn't even have the flag in the NFL. It's a fucking sport that shouldn't even be in the fucking game at all. You're bringing politics into a sport. And we've talked about this multiple times. Even every sporting event we have ever attended, we always have noticed with that, you have to stand, you have to respect that. And I know we're going to lose some people right here for this, but that's fascism basically, isn't it?
It is. I mean, yeah, in all sense, guys, just kind of think of it. The fact that we're kind of required to at the beginning of a game, and you got to think, why is it there? I know we try to be as patriotic and respect to those who have fought and died for our country, and I respect and love that. But at the same time, you got to think, if you step back, next time you see that, take a step back and just think, wait, what we're doing is technically fascist.
Yeah,
you take a look at that, remove all the feelings that you have about that, and watch. And then you can compare it to, say, the USSR days or German days, and it's the exact same.
No, I think I completely agree. Like I said, I completely agree with why the NFL players are taking a knee. I read a cool little article today about this as well, about Tim Tebow. Initially, he took a knee back in 2012 against abortion. No one thought that was crazy. He said, I'm not gonna stand for this flag of the country if that flag itself represents abortion until abortion's outlawed. No one freaked out. No one got mad at him. He actually got 2 more NFL contracts asked for him and 1 MLB contract on top of that too. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but as we learned from Facebook, memes are facts.
I never heard of that one before, but if it's true, that kind of just shows you there's a lot of bias.
There is.
But at the time, though, you gotta look at now too. We're such a politically hyped we're in such a politically hyped time right now, to where every little thing just sets people off, to where there's thousands of people that have to bitch about something that someone did for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, people can bitch about anything they want today. I mean, we talk about this as well with that. We don't think it's an issue with people directly, but we think it's an issue with, we're in a generation gap itself, because for the past, 50, 100 years, we've never, okay, obviously longer than that, but from this new time frame that we've entered in the technology era, we have never been able to know what our neighbors are thinking as fast as we are right now, you know? So when we are talking about this directly as well, we now know exactly what my neighbor's thinking. We didn't give a fuck 30 years ago. We didn't give a shit. I don't know even my fucking neighbor's name. I'm fine with that too. But if I knew his name and I knew how mean he was or what he posted on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is, we might not agree, and that's automatically creating a bias. And so when we do shit like that, it causes issues directly. I mean, do I really need to know all that information? And I have no problem knowing the information. The only issue is now we all have a voice, we all have an opinion, we all can really just bitch about anything we fucking want.
Yeah, I mean, we can't say anything, and that's one of the... We're in a very weird time because of that. Because we can all say anything online. And we all have this ability to throw it out to every single person on the planet instantly. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to get to. Not only is there just generational differences that from our parents, grandparents' generation to us now in just the basic ways, but there's also spiritual differences.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Basic just differences. And then you also have the internet, which is not a bad thing, but we're still trying to figure out how to collect how human emotion reacts around that, so everything gets supercharged, especially with the last political election that we had.
Yeah.
And not that
show, yeah.
the way that it went down, it doesn't matter how it went down. It was the fact that how it was. The people around it on every side put everyone in this super sensitive, super hyped way. And I know I'm not just talking about the liberal side. I'm talking about both sides.
Oh yeah, no.
Both were being snowflakes.
I think it's actually both, actually, though, isn't it? Like
Oh, yeah.
It's always been like that, though. Also, like I can remember when, you can see on old TV shows as well with that. They always say those fucking college kids always trying to do something differently. And I think it's that conservative mindset, and I can understand exactly. We don't like change as humans themselves. We don't like change at all. It's one of those topics that we just don't like to do generally. And some people are more accepting to it compared to others. Once you find a way that works, there's that saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the thing is, what if we see it as broken already from a different standpoint? And so when people see it that way and we want to try fixing it, that's where the conservative mindset comes into saying, it's not broken, don't fucking fix it. But we see it as broken because it might, cause issues with a minority, or it might cause issues with so-and-so. The times have changed, and so when we are going against that grain, when we are trying to change all that, and we're trying to really drive home a different kind of point and trying to change the idea, that's where we're getting all that conflict at, because those people grew up with that mindset of it's not broke, don't fucking try fixing it. And so, I mean, I get it, but it's always been like that to an extent. We're always trying to improve, we're always trying to evolve, we're always trying to change something. And so when we have people who are always saying, no, don't. Like my grandparents, they love Netflix. They fucking love watching Criminal Minds, Law and Order. They're fucking 80. Of course they're going to love watching that shit. But it's once they start talking about that directly and they start arguing about it, because I come in there and we've argued about this as well in the past, me and my grandparents. We've argued about Black Lives Matter. We've talked about in Black Lives Matter, he was saying, why do all those black people always have to do this? Granted, he's from the 50s and 40s. That's just unfortunately his mindset is. And he actually did change his mindset after talking to me about it, because I did bring up the fact that I have personally been prosecuted. Not prosecuted directly, but I have been selected. I've been racially profiled. I've been stopped by cops. I've had cops pull guns on me because I reached for my wallet too fast. And so when he said that, he was like, well, you're clean cut. You got a nice haircut. You don't show off your tattoos and all that stuff. But when he does all that shit, and then he saw that it does happen to me even, he started thinking about it as I am a minority still as a Navajo. I mean, I still am a fucking minority. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, that's where it did change his mindset on that. But it's that's the only issue. It doesn't change. He doesn't want to change his mindset until it can affect him.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem with living in the rural area is that, and I mean, like most of Utah and all of Idaho, it's the fact that we're so secluded that we think that why isn't everything running like it does here?
Yeah.
And why would anyone else have problems there in other places? Because I'm just fine here. And people forget to add that the fact that everyone's different.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I find a lot of people I've talked to, I'm just like, well, yeah, you just don't understand because you're not that person, nor do you live in the same area. You're not black most of the time they're, I'm talking to white people, so they're just like,
well, in this rural town, we only have like one black person, unfortunately, right now, like a whole black family.
We used to have two, but
yeah. Well, Tank moved away.
Tank.
He was from the last podcast. If you guys are listening to this one, he's in podcast number 2, the demo one. But yeah, he did move away. And he even said when he moved out, he was having that same issue. He constantly had issues with cops in general. He constantly was pulled over. He got put on probation. Everything. And so, I mean, Max, can grab a drink really quick because I want to keep saying this, but. I mean, we've had friends who lived here. Like I'm a half blood, honestly. That's what they call me on the reservation. I'm half Navajo and half white. And my friends who have been persecuted, my buddy Tank, he is a black man. I've had buddies from like Tony and stuff like that who are Mexican as well, and we've all experienced the same things. And I know some white people are going to be saying to the fact where it's like, you guys are it's in your head. You guys, if just treat the law the same as us, you won't have that same issue. But the thing is, like, I don't break the law. Like, I don't have a record. I don't have anything to go off of. I mean, yeah, I was a bad student in high school, but these things happened outside of high school. And so when I got pulled over, the officer didn't know I was in high school. He didn't care I was in high school. He just saw my ID. I was over 18, and I was hanging out with some friends. So when he asked, can I see your license registration, I provided my license. And when I reached for my wallet, he pulled his gun because he said I was reaching for it too fast. The thing is, like, we don't live in a high-stress environment. We don't live in the Chicago. We don't live in Detroit. We don't live in those areas where he's thinking, like, minorities are killing people left and right. And he immediately assumes I'm Mexican, unfortunately.
And you gotta be fair, too. It's not that they probably are openly thinking that. It could also be just a mental back note, subconscious thing that is happening. Just a little bit of fairity to... the cops.
I get that. No, I'm not saying all cops are like that. Obviously not. There's plenty of good, decent cops out there in the world who don't do anything like that. Who don't even fucking argue. Don't even like question about your race or anything like that. But we see it every day. And granted, some of the ones on Facebook are complete fucking bullshit. Some of them are like they're just blown out of proportion. But there are some that are completely validated to the point where I get angry as well because I don't want that fucking happening to me, or if I have any kids, happen to those kids as well. That's the one thing I really don't want happening in this fucking world. I don't want people to immediately assume that I'm a criminal. I'm something that, just because of my skin color. And you've seen it as well. When we walk into stores directly, you asked me the first time we hung out why I carried my receipt when I walked out of the store. And it's only because every time I walk out of the store, generally, I get questioned if they can see my receipt, if I'm carrying any like stolen clothes or anything. You throw away all your receipts because it never happened to you. But it's always happened to me directly. Hasn't happened the last couple times, so I'm happy about that. I'm assuming that's exactly what it should be like every fucking day. But unfortunately, it's not. And I would say it's a one-off issue, but it's happened to me several times in general in the same store that I have never stolen at.
Yeah, no, I think coming from a different perspective, I've noticed before we started hanging out a lot, but it really kind of seals in the deal, spending every day with each other on the skin differences. And not to seclude this to white people, I would like to say that everyone has a little bit of a racist side in them. Yeah. On any account, it could be anything on anything.
Like stereotypes.
Yeah, stereotypes. They always kind of play off. It doesn't even have to be a race thing. It could be a nationality thing.
Yeah, it could be a religious thing. Yeah. And sometimes even well with that.
And religious thing. Anything, and we all and we all have those. There's not a single person on this planet that doesn't go, oh, yeah, that's not true, or anything like that. We all have those kind of embedded in us.
Yeah, we all have our own biases, we all have our own opinions and thoughts on certain things.
That's just a part of being a human being. But, like, I've noticed over time is that when you just take a step back and look, the amount of times that white people just we do get to just kind of walk clear on a lot of things, especially in this area. I know there's other places where it probably doesn't happen as much, obviously.
Yeah, or it's not as prominent.
Yeah, it's not as prominent, but literally I could just walk out. If I really wanted to, I could probably walk out with a TV and have a bullshit receipt in hand, and they wouldn't question it. If I got the security cord off and all I had was this receipt from a different day in my hand, no one would stop me.
No, and I would like to say it would happen to me as well, but the only issue is I can't even guarantee that. And I'm not saying people at those stores are inherently racist. I don't think they are either. I just think that they're trained to think that same way. Like, it happened at the store we actually lived 30 miles away from, at the Cal Ranch, and they were trained basically from their assistant manager at that point to question Mexican people because they believe that they were stealing. They were believing that we had to ask them because that's our policy. And I'm like, that's such a bullshit racist policy, and it's happened. I mean, it's just shit like that. When that does happen, it's stuff like, we can't assume all Mexicans are thieves. We can't assume all white people are racist. We can't assume all black people hate white people. We can't assume that directly. Because obviously...
Nor should that ever happen.
No, shouldn't.
We're all human beings of the same people.
Yeah, we're just people. That's the thing.
Yeah, we can go back to the fact that we are all Americans, or the fact that we are all of the same species.
Yeah.
And the same people.
I'm not going to deny I'm a speciesist because I fucking hate certain animals.
Oh, yeah.
Like, seriously, like, you hate snakes.
Like, yeah, oh no, with a fiery passion.
Like, fuck snakes sometimes, right? Like, I don't mind certain snakes, but if a snake can eat me, fuck that. I don't want to see that.
I got an Indiana Jones style fucking fear of snakes. Like, I love the scene where he starts burning those motherfuckers, because if I had a chance and there was a bunch of snakes and gasoline and a little bit of fire, those bitches are dying.
See, that's the weird thing, is I'm Native American and I fucking hate horses. They're just giant fucking assholes.
You gotta put it in perspective, or to put it away. I know you're Native American, you guys love horses, but they weren't around before the Europeans.
They weren't.
Europeans brought them.
European thing, a European African thing. I get that.
That's the crazy thing, is I never thought of that, because I was like, oh yeah, they were from here, and they were from here. They started here and then left.
Yeah.
They left during certain seasonal things, like during the rush, when the Russian and Alaska ice bridge came up, and they all left.
Yeah, that's the same
and Europeans
theory as,
were using them.
Where Native Americans came from.
Yeah, that's where they think a lot of it, and they also boats, because how do we get people out in Hawaii? That don't make no sense. There has to be something going on.
And I just...
It's not like we were just sat here like boop 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 boop.
Yeah, we didn't just spawn up like that.
Yeah,
that's not how it works. That's the idea of racism. Doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So, I've had this conversation for the last 5 days. I've had this conversation a couple times with even coworkers at work as well with that, and actually my friend's house a couple days ago while helping them paint. So some people don't understand why white people were always so ahead of us in technology-wise and all that stuff from the early times, like when civilization basically started.
Oh, well, not the entire time. Middle Easterns and Egyptians held it for a long time. Like, we're talking like...
What age am I talking about then? I'm talking about the age of where they were able to domesticate animals, they were able to herd animals. That's the reason why Europe spread so fast, because they were able to domesticate animals that couldn't be domesticated in North America or South America. Like, North America and South America didn't have animals that could be easily domesticated, like cattle, pigs, stuff like that.
Well, if you look at it if you want to start from the beginnings, they say the first nomadic horse people were the Mongols.
Yeah.
So that is...
The Mongols are always the exception for
They're
every fucking
everything.
rule. I love it. No one can conquer Russia. Except
for the
Mongols.
Mongols. They're the only
I
ones to
love
ever
that.
do it.
That's like they're that golden outlier of
Yep.
every generation. I think it's the greatest thing about it.
So Mongols are said to be the first nomadic horse people and to properly train them to the point where they had 4 or 5 horses that would follow without leads.
Yeah.
And so if one of their horses died or became too slow, the other horse would be following that man, and he'd be able to jump, man or woman, I should say. They were not very sexist, which is interesting.
Society.
They were a very progressive society.
For their time,
Besides the raping,
they were very progressive.
Besides the raping, but other than that, they were pretty progressive when it came to women fighting.
I did not know. That's funny.
Yep. Women actually trained all of the young men and women how to shoot bows off horses, and they were the fastest, and still are faster than any man can do now.
Yeah,
on
Mom
shooting.
did too.
Yeah. But I mean, besides the raping part, where they say that 1 in 5 Asiatic men or Asiatic people are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. Yeah. That's a lot of rape.
That's a fucking shit ton of rape.
Also, he's killed like, what is it? It's like 40 million people. It's so much that it took down the ozone, or what was it? Not the ozone. It took down
the population, wasn't it? Or
his population wide.
It increased it, didn't it? Or
carbon. It increased the carbon input.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, it changed the planet because of how many people he killed.
Good God!
Think about that for a minute. He killed so much that it left an implant on the planet on carbon.
God, only one man has that effect right now, and that's Al Gore. And that's only because he created the internet.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite
in a very
thing about Al Gore.
shitty way.
I fucking
he
love it.
Could have done it right the first time.
Oh, I'm Al Gore. I fucking love that. That's like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, yeah, like if you look on that, so they were the ones that came up with they were the first nomadic horse people.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Egyptians. You've got the pyramids that they're still not exactly sure when they date back to.
Yeah.
They could be older. And they were also a very progressive society. A lot of people like to think that they were just of one people, but it was several different people of all around,
and they nationalities kind of
different races, nationalities that all came to one, and they accepted them all.
Back then, did they really have like those borderlines though, like how we have them today, like Egypt and Cairo and all that? Did they have? I mean, not Cairo, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, did they have the separation line of countries like we do with Canada and America and Brazil and all that stuff in Mexico?
I mean, obviously ours are well defined to where we can tell from the exact inch, but they kind of just made it up as they went. Like, if you look at the Roman maps, they said Africa actually ended like halfway through actual Africa.
Oh, what was that part then? South Africa or?
Well, like pretty much I think it's not very far from where Egypt is. Just because they didn't travel past that, so they're like, okay, we'll just do what we know instead of just guessing.
Okay, that makes more sense. I mean, that
and
definitely.
And you look at like Egypt, their mostly spread was like between northern Egypt and southern Egypt. If you look at the beginning of Egypt's history, there was actually 2 kings that mostly fought against that, and they know that because of a certain crowns that they found on hieroglyphs. That there was a northern king that had like a red scorpion, and then there was the southern king who had no, I might be mixing them up, but either way.
Yeah.
It was like a certain other one.
Across at least.
Yeah, and then the first Egyptian pharaoh started to create the pyramids, which you look into it, you think like, oh, we're talking about a couple from the same family. No, we're talking like within 3,000 years before even before like Greeks and Romans, there was like 26 dynasties of different families.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason I was bringing up the whole European thing is because like people like that's what white people usually go to. I'm not trying to say obviously you or all white people. I'm just saying like the white people that are unfortunately the ones that say they're better because why didn't black people, why didn't Mexicans, why didn't they do what we could do? And the reason why was because of the domestication of animals, the disease they were able to go through as well with that. It spread their timeline so much faster than anything else because in North America, South America, there wasn't animals to domesticate.
If you look at the historical reason just on that, you got to think, if you look at European history, there's so many trials and tribulations, and we lost so many white people
Yeah,
along
like
the
the
way.
Black Plague, everything
Yeah.
about from the food poisonings issues with rat droppings to the sewage issues to the Black Plague.
And that's not even including the wars that we
No.
went through.
Yeah.
Where, like, to the point where every single country has fought against every single country, and that's just in Europe. And then you got in the fact that they fought in the Middle East, we're like all over the place. Egypt, if you go to like the Roman time or before the Roman times and all that, like there was just fighting everywhere, to the point where, of course, they were better off because they had gone through so much shit in a lot smaller time.
Yeah. And that's what I'm
And
saying.
we're
Like,
able
that's the
to
reason
come
why
at,
they
like-
were advanced
yeah, it was-
so much faster than any other like part of the world, because they were able to advance. They were able to trial and tribulate. They were able to lose people and be fine with it.
They
People-
stood the
and-
testament. It's not something that they just kind of like were always on this pedestal, like we kind of think now that white people are on a pedestal.
Yeah.
They had to earn that.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I get that. I mean, like I said, I think it's more or less like to the point where it pisses me off is like where white people like always like, and like again, I'm always saying white people as a generalization. I hope some people get that. I'm not saying as all white people. I'm just saying as a generalization of the people that always say white people are better than other race, like the racists is what I'm basically implying. I'm not
Your
saying
neo-Nazis.
yeah, the
Nazis.
neo-Nazis. I'm not saying. I'm just gonna get that. So what people always argue about though is like I've had that literally sometimes come up as well. Why didn't the Native Americans do that? I'm like, the Native Americans, we didn't there was conflict between tribes, and for the majority of the part, tribes were settled like somewhat peacefully. Some were settled in war. There's no denying that at all. There was wars going on with the Native American tribes. But the thing is, like, I mean, if we even go back further as well with that, the Spaniards invaded, the Vikings invaded North America as well with that. I mean, there was conflict between different fronts, but it wasn't to the extent of what happened on the European battlefront.
Yeah, if you look just on the European continent, there was
There
so
was
much more going
wars
on.
going on, battles every other day. Like that's
Yeah.
why every movie that like is based in the Middle Age is completely European, pretty much. Is because that's basically what they can base everything off of.
Yeah.
Because there was proof of all that happening. They were so advanced in that technology because they had to be advanced. They had to like go faster because my enemy might make something faster than me.
That, and we have more information on that time because during that time period, the Europeans were actually notating everything very, very well. If you like going through the ancient history textbook, at work I get bored, and I actually have gone through the entire ancient history textbook.
Yeah, who wrote that, by the way? Plug him on this.
I don't remember her name.
I'll if you just send me, I'll post it in the video
Yeah,
below.
we'll post it in there. It's the classic one you always saw in high school.
Yeah,
that
he showed
was
me, and
massive.
it's actually he showed me like one chapter of it. It's actually pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not big into like European history. Obviously, I'm more into
Well,
Western
it's-
civilization history. I understand it's
yeah.
probably all the history, but I've never really been interested in that side of the world. I should be, just never have been. I will be eventually. I'm sure I will. I'll eventually delve into it, but I'm just more interested into the Native American culture directly instead. So I mean, if we're talking about like people that were writing stuff down. Unfortunately, a lot of the Native Americans didn't because there was a lot of separation, a lot of changes. The only tribe that really did a lot of it was Cherokee. Cherokee did write down a lot of information. Cherokee had their own first written language
and there's
too.
a reason why the Cherokees are well known.
Yeah, the Cherokees are most well known because they were.
Whoever notates the most is going to come out looking good.
Yeah.
China at the very beginning didn't notate anything. The only thing they had of them to understand what they were doing is that they had started to notate crops with a certain like I think it was like the way she explained it was talus marks, that they'd make marks and then wrap it in bundles and then seal it a certain way, and they found those, and so we know basically that they were talking about grain. So we could see that they were on farm, they were farming a lot and all this, and then we look at excavations and we've been able to find more.
Yeah.
And then you look at Egyptian times, there were certain times that we know a shit ton about. And then there's times that we don't know that much about. Especially when you look at actually the fact that we know a lot about a certain time period in Egypt because everything was written on clay tablets. And then when they switched over to pyrograph, or like a more paper substance.
Yeah, like papyrus.
Papyrus, yeah, papyrus.
The Avatar fonts.
Yes. When they switched to papyrus, there's certain times that we know nothing about because papyrus didn't hold up to time.
No.
So when we know pretty much everything about European history, it's only because of how it was preserved and notated. It has nothing to do with, in my opinion, with people trying to, as some people say, whitewash history.
Yeah.
I mean, it does happen. Whitewashing history does happen.
Yeah. With
But-
Jesus.
Yeah, he was Middle Eastern. I'm on that page.
Yeah.
It makes no sense why he would be white.
No, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
A nice guy born on the reservation isn't white.
That
That's
reminds
not
me.
how that works.
This is totally off topic. I just think it's just funny as shit. There was a fucking meme on Facebook today. It showed a picture of a Middle Eastern dude walking with 2 suitcases, and it's supposed to be Jesus. And it said, Obama kicked me out of the White House. Trump let me back in. I'm like...
That don't make any sense considering he's the one trying to kick out or put all the...
We can't say ban because Fox... I mean, apparently
ban's a bad word, but
Yeah.
it is a ban. Sorry, you ban something, you don't allow it to come through.
Yeah, agreed.
That is the definition of ban.
It is.
Word is there. Sorry.
It is. And there's... The thing is, like... We're not even fully left wing. It's a thing. We don't agree with half the shit the fucking left wing says. Unfortunately, either.
Oh yeah, no. I look at the liberal side and I just go, what the fuck are you
I don't
thinking?
fucking get it. Like, I'm like, we live in Idaho. We're Democrats in Idaho for the most part, and even then, our Democratic views for a lot of the left would be considered right wing hard.
Yeah.
Like Scott from Scotland, one of our buddies.
Oh, yeah.
He's from Scotland, obviously, but he was saying that he's like, me and Max Blease are pretty right wing conservative almost compared to where he's from. It's like we all have different ideologies, but the thing is, like, we can still agree with him because we don't really. We're more moderates than anything, I'd assume. We're not really
To me,
Democratic or right wing. We're more like understanding both.
I kind of see this as more of a kind of like a libertarian side, but not quite crazy.
Yeah, I'm not libertarian because I don't like I just don't like the stigma with it.
I don't like the stigma, but if you look at everything that we pretty much agree on,
Because I've only seen...
like what I look at on a lot of like, if you just look at like, okay, what do they go with? Yes. Okay, I'm more libertarian on a lot of things, but that party is bullshit. I'm sorry.
It is.
They need to revamp
That's
it.
the issue. Like we had to fall, unfortunately, under the Democratic line pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's like, even then, like I said, most Democrats are going to listen to this as well. They're going to say the exact same shit. They're like, these guys are fucking right wing. These guys aren't Democrats.
Oh,
These
no.
guys aren't.
There are going to be people that listen to this podcast that think that we're
I
Republicans.
guarantee you there's
and
people on this
yeah.
podcast who, when they first heard you say Mongols rape people, they're immediately going to be like, oh, he said the R word.
Oh yeah,
you
no.
can't
There's gonna
say
be
that.
people thinking that we're Republican, and there's gonna be people thinking we're liberals and we're snowflakes.
But that's the good thing is, like, who gives a fuck? I mean, honestly, like, that's the thing about this. Like, I don't think we should be fucking labeled down. Not everyone's fucking left wing. Not everyone's fucking right wing. Guess what? My dad's right wing, but he agrees with me on most of my things I talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty left wing for the most part on a lot of things. But it's like, even then,
no
like,
one should follow suit 100% with their party.
no one should.
If you do, you're not actually thinking about it. You're just
You're
following suit.
Yeah, it's all you're doing, and that.
Because if you're like, no, I actually fully believe in all these things, I don't believe you.
No.
Take a step back and think about it. I don't believe you if you say you fully on 100% are Republican.
Yeah, you're fucking
Everything
nuts.
about
If you follow the leader exactly to 100% T and you have 100% faith in them, you're a fucking sheep. And I hate saying that because it makes it sound like...
It goes every direction.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I did not 100% agree with Obama. And I still think Obama was a great president. I don't 100% disagree with Trump. Trump's like, he may be crazy sometimes, but some of the shit he says, I'm like, I can see that.
Yeah, as time goes on, I feel like with Obama, I think his best thing the thing he did best for us is that he kept us calm.
Yeah.
And there are definitely people that are going to say bullshit, but no, us as the American people, a melting pot of culture of 300 and something million people, he kept us pretty goddamn calm, especially if you look at now.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely not.
And I'm not
much...
saying anything bad about Trump because, I can't imagine. That job's got to be fucking hard.
Yeah, there's no denying it. I mean, that's just...
He's not very good at that part.
And that's... The issue is, I think someone should just get rid of it.
I should say, he's not very good. He is terrible at that part.
I think he should just get rid of his fucking Twitter. That's the main thing.
Yeah, he needs to get rid of
Get the fuck off Twitter. I mean, and I'm saying this as somebody who does not use Twitter, because I don't fucking read tweets. I barely get on Twitter. Only time I'm ever on Twitter is when I really want to rant or complain or retweet something. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's rare, too.
I would like to go on a little thing, too, on that. I know people are thinking, too, that when I say
We're
this,
gonna
I just...
lose everybody. I fucking love this.
Oh, well, fuck 'em.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it. Let's just have fun with this. Fuck it.
No, what I would like to say, too, is that... I kind of lost train of thought for a second, but is that his Twitter's out of control, right?
Yeah,
he really needs to just batten down the hatches. And I know there's a lot of people that think that it's good that he just says whatever the hell he's thinking, but you got to think you're okay with the fact of what he's saying. You're one, okay? You might find everyone in this town that agrees with you. Good, that's maybe 5 to 10,000 people. You have to think 300 million people live in this country and are United States Americans. Are Americans. That are Americans.
Some are illegal.
They live here and pay for their food. In my opinion, go for it, buddy.
I love that argument. That's like
Some are illegal.
That's my fucking favorite argument. Because even Trump acknowledged that in his last thing. He talked about voting. Like he's like, remember voting. I shouldn't really be talking about it because I don't think voting is 100% truthful. I'm like, there was no fucking proof of that. I'm like, he's just saying that. People are like, yeah,
he's doing it to start shit.
I know.
That's the thing he's best at, is starting shit. And people love the fact that he starts shit. But when you look on it, and you might go, yeah, I don't agree with you. And I really don't care if you agree with me. But really, I don't even care if you jump on the side that I'm talking about. But just think about it for a minute. What he's doing is not a good thing.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Okay, how about this? Let's try redeeming this podcast where we're not pissing off both sides now. So let's do this. Let's piss off.
That's the point of the podcast.
I know.
We're all the way gray. We're not black. We're not white. We're not sitting on either one of these fences. We're going to be jumping through.
Oh yeah, no.
This is gray.
We have plenty of time for that. But I really have been fucking thinking about this topic for a couple minutes now, and I gotta say, what the fuck is better, Fight Club or Gone Girl? Because you love Fight Club. You want a Tyler Durden fucking tattoo on you, and I have no problem with that. I like Tyler Durden. He's one of my favorite characters. But Ben Affleck in Gone Girl.
Gone Girl's good. Okay, let's look at some facts.
It was one of the only movies that made me physically gasp. That and then Black Panther when Michael B. Jordan said, "Hi, Auntie."
You tell me you didn't feel a little bit of a touchy touch when the first time you watched Fight Club?
Yeah, I felt a little bit, but I didn't gasp. Like, as soon as I saw her, like, go, like, crazy, I was like, oh, whoa. Like, I'm like, because the thing is, like, Gone Girl...
She did a good job at covering it.
And so, the only reason I think Gone Girl was just a little bit better is only because he did not leave any fucking hints, really, throughout the movie that she's the crazy one. Fight Club, he littered Tyler Durden across the movie. And the thing is, like, you would never notice it the first time you saw it, obviously. But once you start watching it again, like, you can watch Gone Girl, and it's only subliminally in your head. Compared to, like, Fight Club, when you're watching it, you're like, there's Tyler Durden. There's Tyler Durden. You can see him physically.
Well, yeah, but the beauty of Fight Club is that he does it so quick that the first time you watch it, you're kind of seeing it, but you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
And if we're being all truthful here, we're looking at the facts. These are the same directors over a span of how many years? David Fincher. Over a span of, what, 20 years? 10, 20 years?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. So, we were initially going to talk about Seven, which is another David Fincher movie. But Grave Girls Podcast actually did a whole episode on that. I'll link to them below as well. They gave us a shout out. This is our third episode. I'm probably not 100% sure if they're going to like this episode just because of what we've been saying about, but...
Politics isn't pretty, people.
No, politics isn't pretty, and I hope they can get past that, because this is I'm having fucking a blast, honestly.
Oh, I'm having fun. And
this
honestly, guys,
blast.
I just hope you're having fun with it. You don't have to get mad and take it seriously. We're not being serious. That's the great thing. If you ever talk to me and Cody, we're never just, like, extremely into it, like, this is good the way it is.
No.
This is why we call ourselves all the way gray.
Yeah, because like, our opinions can change on
a
lot. Like, we're, like, think of us like that little rubber toy you used to squeeze that you, like, put your finger in. I have no idea how to describe this without it sound like...
A sex toy?
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea how to describe this. You know what I'm talking about? You used to get it at the library fairs like a little kid. It's like...
The double-headed thing where it has like 2 heads on it.
Yeah.
And you squeeze it and one side goes bigger and then the other
you
one
can
goes
put like
bigger.
your finger through it and all that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. You squeeze one side, you might go the other way. I'm like, we're kind of like that. We don't really have a set standard. We're not really a set shape. We can always change our opinions, and I hope people can understand that.
Yeah,
we're
just going off the top of our head. It's things to think about.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to it. You could skip through it if you want. We'll leave you a little.
I'll leave links.
We'll put a notation
I'll leave
on where the
description. If you feel that was too far, or that was like, oh, I can't hear that.
But even then, you could always just zone out, or just keep moving along, or you could listen and think about it for a second, or just
if you think we're fucking idiots, put it in the comments. I'll read them.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I don't care.
Talk to us. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, if you fucking think we're idiots...
Put some dislikes in there. Let's see what fucking happens.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I mean, fuck it. It's our 3rd episode. Do you think I really give a fuck?
No.
We're going to still do this for a long time.
I mean, if you think about it, this is the 3rd episode. We're still testing the waters. We'll see what you guys do and don't like and decide if we're going to follow that or not.
The way I see it is like, we're not even fucking crazy. Alex Jones had a shit ton of subscribers. That's what I'm thinking of. It's like, okay, so
maybe we need to be
Alex
Alex Jones.
Let's get back on the topic of the movies because I was really interested in Gone Girl because Gone Girl I think is just a smidge. Like when I say a smidge, literally like it's so hard for me to tell, and it might change depending on what day I watch it. Honestly, but like I love Edward Norton. He's one of my favorite fucking actors, and I love Brad Pitt, but I like Edward Norton more. But Ben Affleck. Neil Patrick Harris, and I don't remember the girl's name, unfortunately.
I would like to bring back to this the same directors. So you're looking at that just a smidge better is the fact that you're taking a lot of the same subplots of like or the same basics that he's most famous for, which is hiding the truth until the very end and surprising the fucking shit out of you. That he does. Honestly, there's no one that does it better in the directing world.
Yeah, I mean.
And
that's
so
a
you
bold
give
claim,
them
saying
time.
the best, like you're saying like one of the best.
The best at like hiding those surprises.
Oh, okay. Oh, Alfred Hitchcock, master of suspense.
Yeah, no, he was master of suspense in the notation of like horror style of the, like, I mean like yeah, Psycho's gonna be a classic. I can't deny that.
Birds
is good. I prefer Psycho. Psycho's my favorite.
Good. I can't. Everyone likes Psycho.
And that was the first one, and even then there was some like
that twist at the end of Psycho though with the mother.
I mean,
I don't know why I keep doing that, but I like it.
The guy who played Alfred Bate, or not Alfred, Bates.
Yeah,
it's been a minute since I've seen it. Norman Bates. In the original one, he did fantastic. Like honestly, like just applause that guy.
Yeah. Easy.
Because he took that movie and ran with it.
Yeah. Oh, fucking. I mean,
he's easily the main reason why that went so far.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you're right. Honestly, David Fincher is one of the best directors that is good at hiding suspense and still drizzling it throughout the movie entirely.
He's the greatest at hiding the character or a certain side of that character until the very end.
Yeah.
Especially considering he's done it more than once. And if you look at Fight Club compared to Psycho, Psycho is different in its own style because he doesn't give you any hints.
No.
Where Fight Club,
he just drops
you
hints.
You watch it several times and he's dropping hints everywhere. But the first time you watch it, you're not picking up on those hints.
But the only thing that gets me about that, so, I mean...
Or most people aren't picking up on those hints.
Yeah, no, I get that. No, I think the main thing that gets me on that, though, is, like, it's not his own original material. He's taking it usually from source material compared to, like, Alfred Hitchcock, where he would make...
Hitchcock was a book... Psycho was a book just the same as all the other ones, yeah.
Fuck, I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He picked it up
I was fucking wrong.
He picked it up in on a flight. He saw it sitting in like one of the kiosks, and he picked it up and read it, and then decided to make it into a movie.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say it was an in-flight magazine. I'd be like, that's a fucking
that would be
great story.
That would be brutal. But no,
that'd be a great fucking story. Like someone reading about. Yeah, I read about Psycho in in-flight magazine. Totally came at me out of nowhere.
I took a film class, guys, so that's why I know a lot about about Psycho and a bunch of others. Shout out to Mrs. Wharton that used to teach at Skyview because
you're talking about
she
trucking
knows
again.
that.
You gotta talk about trucking.
Okay, you
so
guys
he
wanna
has
know?
this fucking great story about him trucking and how what trucking really is.
so
And I'll let him
let me
describe it.
explain.
I'm actually going to go to the bathroom really quick, so I'll have you describe that really quick.
Okay. So, when I went to Dixie State, I mean, it's an okay school, but they don't always hire the correct professors. So, one of the things that really bothered me when I was going to the university is that I was taking a film theory class where all we did was study films and then notate certain things on it. I did the same thing in high school for 2 years. And I was also taking another class on television. Like, we did a couple episodes on, like, making some recipes and all that. And we were straight, like, it was full-on, going straight to TV style. We actually, the professor for that was a strict professional. He taught, or he didn't taught. He worked for like KSL for a couple of years. He worked for MSNBC for a couple of years. He was a strict professional, and he knew what he was talking about, and you could tell when he was teaching. And he threw it into our mind. Trucking is when it works the same in film. This works the same way in film. He said this. He said that. Is that trucking is when a camera is on casters, wheels, and they'll say truck left or right. And so the camera will physically move
yeah.
left or right. And then pan left, right would be moving just the camera left or right. And then literally that day, I go to film theory class and have this professor, a makeshift professor, wasn't actually a professor, like she just kind of picked it up on the side. It tells you the credit, how much the credit was actually worth. Is that we go into class and start sitting down, and I'm like half out of it because it's film class. We watch a movie and then write a report on it. That was literally the class.
That sounds amazing. I would love to fucking do that.
Oh no, it was great. There's a reason why I took two semesters of it in high school and then one in when I went to university, college.
That sounds fun, because I would love to write fucking reports on certain movies, because I think it'd be just fun as shit.
She would sometimes have like certain things like this is what it's gonna be about, but like just basically like overall like synopsis of the film and everything you thought was good, wrong, everything about it. And this day in class, she goes up to us and she's talking about a movie, and then says trucking is when a camera is on a truck and they're moving down a highway at a certain speed following a car, which I immediately went, that doesn't sound right, nor is it in the $300 textbook that we had to pay for that class. And so I raised my hand and said, that's not correct. Trucking is when you move a camera left, right, physically. And she's like, no, I'm pretty sure it's when it's on a truck. And I was like, no, you're wrong.
That sounds like a guy who completely bullshitted his way into the job and just is making it up as he goes.
She was like nothing against her. Like, I don't blame her, but she really should have done more research.
Well, no, that's what it sounds like, though, doesn't it? It sounds like when you had to make up something. You didn't read the book, but you had to go make a book report on it, and you only had the title to go off of. What's Fight Club about?
She was like the
A club
theater.
that's about fighting?
She was like the theater costume teacher. Or something like that. I know she did costumes, because I remember overhearing that. And that was like her main thing that she did, and then she picked this up on the side to do it. My biggest thing against her was she only watched older films, and made us pay for a $300 textbook that had new films and went into great detail about new films and a little bit about older, but there's so much more into
technology changes, so is directing styles and shit.
That's why I paid $300 for this textbook, because it had everything in there from modern era that you still get the old shit in there, but it's modernized.
Fuck.
Dude, we watched a series of older films and a couple that I've seen from film class in high school. But I remember saying that, and then right after I was I told her wrong, that she was wrong the second time, she was totally mad at me and failed me from that class. Not lying, but I was like, I'm okay. Or she failed me from that day. I remember getting like an F on the paperwork the next day, and I accepted that because I know I was right.
No, I mean, just hearing that, like, there's a couple of things that kind of piss me off about that. Like, not the teacher, not the whole trucking shit.
Professor.
Yeah. Yeah. I have
should be a teacher though.
I have a very staunch opinion on the difference between teacher and professor, and I would love to have someone explain it to me because it's the exact same job. It sounds like just one wants a little bit more schooling. Is that the difference between like a nurse and a doctor, or
I don't know the full thing. I out of just pure respect, anyone when I was in a university, I just called professor.
I know, but it's like,
and so did everyone
they're
else at
teaching
Dixie.
you. They're teachers.
Yeah, they are teachers, but it's like
is teacher such a denounced term to them that's like it's
yes.
like it makes you feel worse?
They're not teaching shitheads.
It's all an ego shit then?
Yeah, I
Is
feel
it
like for some
the
of them,
term executive producer that they give some cast members in TV shows too?
Yeah,
like,
probably.
You get executive producer credit only because it makes your ego feel better.
I mean, yeah, some people are probably freaking out, but yeah, I mean, you are teaching a class.
Yeah.
You're a teacher, so it's not incorrect to call them a teacher.
That's the only reason I'm like, that's,
But
I want
they just,
someone, if someone's listening to this actually,
Yeah.
please break that down for me, because that's one thing I've always fucking wondered, that and why do textbooks cost so goddamn much?
And then when you turn them in at the end of the year, you get fucking pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, you get pennies on the hundreds of dollars.
Like, it's bullshit. It's complete fucking bullshit.
I remember going up with that movie textbook that I paid like $300 for, and they wanted to give me $20 for it, and I said, fuck that, I'm keeping it.
Do you still have it? Why did you get?
It might be at my parents' house.
Ooh, that'd be kind of interesting to read. Actually,
It's awesome. It has a whole big
I
section.
have a couple textbooks in my room about sociology and shit, and I
It
love
has a
reading
whole
those
big
at night.
section on like The Dark Knight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like Joker?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because that was a big film.
We'll talk about that
was
next
made.
episode, because me and you got some shit about the Joker and Bane, because I still think Bane is the ultimate villain for Batman. Out of the trilogy, he is the ultimate villain. Joker... actually, fuck it. Let's just talk about this episode. Fuck it. So...
Okay, you're wrong, but let's continue.
No. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So, Joker to me, I'll give my opinion first, and I'll have you retaliate, or reiterate, or retort.
I will start out by saying I respect Bane a little bit out of the trilogy, but he ain't got shit on my Joker.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I love Heath, and I love him as
This is
the
nothing but the
Joker.
actors. This is
So
all about the characters
We're going
themselves.
hard. We're not going gray on this one. This
No,
is black
this is
and white.
hard. This is a black and white topic right here. So, I will give it granted, Joker was a menacing villain, but only to Gotham. Bane was a villain that, yeah, he didn't just stop Gotham, he closed Gotham off from the fucking world. Joker to Bane is like a kid with matches, and Bane is a guy with a bomb. Joker can burn down a building and attack people. Bane can take down a whole city in a matter of days. That's what I'm saying. Like, Joker, he got people scared. Bane didn't have to do that. Bane's like, I'm going to blow this fucking football field up, and I'm going to put a bomb in the middle of the city. Fight me. And Batman did fight him, and he broke his fucking back. Joker fought Batman. He didn't want to fight.
Well, you gotta look at the size here. We're talking about Bane.
Yeah.
Or if you go off the comic books, that's like, especially during some of the comic books.
We're not talking about comics.
Bane
We're talking
can't-
about the movies. We're
Well,
talking about the trilogy. That's why I said, like,
that's why I'm bringing up the
exclusively
trilogy. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing up the trilogy, because there wasn't as, like, they made him way smarter than he should have been, but I respect that.
No, he was in the comic. Okay. Because in the comics, he was extremely
Some of the
intelligent.
comic books.
I know. I'm just.
This is DC we're talking about.
I know, but in the comic books, he was extremely literate. He was extremely literate. He spoke multiple languages. He was smart. He figured out Batman's identity in only a couple of weeks. Like, he was extremely fucking smart in the comics. Like, just gotta throw it out there. Like, I know we're talking about the trilogy, and Bane showed that in the trilogy too, that he was smart. He figured out Batman's identity in the movie too. It's like, Bruce Wayne.
But then again, he wasn't. If you look at it though, in the movies, if we're gonna break that part, that it wasn't actually him that was the brains. It was what's her name? I forget her name.
Catwoman.
No, not Catwoman. Catwoman got the whole thing from it, but it was the the lady that was like
Oh, Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Ra's al Ghul's daughter.
Yeah,
she was the technical brain.
He was the one
behind
who
that.
pushed her to get to it, though. He knew exactly how he wanted to do it, and he knew exactly who to plan it, who to pay, and who to get the information that he wanted.
I think we should rewatch this, but thinking back to it, it's been a couple years since I watched it.
I watched it a couple months ago. I love it.
I remember. You stole my trilogy.
I know.
It's a beautiful Blu-ray
trilogy.
collection.
Yeah. But no, so I think Joker, like, granted, Joker is probably the most. I mean, no question about it. Joker is by far the most iconic Batman villain.
Oh yeah.
But Bane is a world scale villain to him. Like, Joker is always going to be the guy that Batman fears because he knows that he's always going to attack Gotham. Bane, though, Bane doesn't have to just attack Gotham. He can attack anywhere.
But we're talking about the trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. In the trilogy, he didn't just stop it. Like, Joker never left Gotham. Bane was going to take down this plane. And he literally took down a fucking plane.
He started out in a different place and then came back to.
But that show
he
took Batman to another country when he broke his fucking back too.
Well,
Bane has no limits. That's the reason I'm getting at. Bane has no limits. Joker has a limit, and the limit is Batman. Batman is his limit. He's like, and that's what he said in the
because
Dark
he's going
Knight.
for more of the
saying,
psychological fuckery.
Yeah, in the movie though, he was like saying, I'm the immovable object, and you're the unstoppable force. We're going to keep fighting until one of us dies, and it's exactly what he knew was going to happen too. Bane, that was not an option to him. Bane's option was like, you're immovable, bet. We're going to make you move.
Bane was okay with also like pretty much killing him. It was Ra's al Ghul's daughter that pretty much stopped him.
Yeah.
But where that's the thing with Joker is that he didn't want to kill him because it was too much fun. We're talking about a psychopath, like the most deranged person.
I would consider both psychopaths. Both are very technical, both very planned, very long terms. Both planned out a very long schematic of plans. I mean, Bane literally wired the city to blow up, like from roads to tunnels to trapping all the police to blowing up a whole football field.
Would the Joker be more of a sociopath because he's impulsive?
No, he planned a lot of that because you got to think.
He did plan a lot of it.
I would say he's more of a psychopath,
but at certain times he was okay with deviating from the plan for being impulsive. So he's just
I'd assume he falls under his own kind of category at that point. I'm not sure exactly if psychopaths could be as impulsive as sociopaths can be.
Yeah.
But I would believe they have the ability to be impulsive as well because I believe psychopaths are more cold and calculating.
But I don't know.
It's a loose definition from what I've read on it because you can't even really define someone as a sociopath nowadays. I mean, there are so many terms about it. Like, you can determine it as sociopathic tendencies, but not sociopath. So, I mean, there's a couple things about that. And that's where even the TV show Hannibal talks about that. We watch a lot of TV. Just heads up on that.
Yeah, like a lot.
Like, we're single, if you guys couldn't tell already, because we watch nerdy movies, I read comics, and Mag listens to history. We're not really good bachelors. So, that's why we have a vast knowledge of dumb Jeopardy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's because I'd rather learn.
Yeah, but fuck, what were we talking about there? I want a good tangent there for a second.
Oh, that's my bad. I threw us off with that.
No,
joke.
You're good.
I don't remember. It was
Oh well, fuck it. But no,
move on.
Fuck it. We're gonna end this off with. I'm going to try guessing what your favorite swear word is, and you're going to try guessing what mine is. I'll start first. Cunt.
You know me too well.
Oh, I fucking knew it. And he doesn't say it in a derogatory term. Not like how some people immediately get offended by the C word, is how I've heard a lot.
Yes.
No.
A lot of, especially Americans, tend to get like it's like chalk on.
It's not even just
or like scraping your name.
I wouldn't even say it's just American. I'd say it's only. I don't want to say it like this. White women. My mom didn't care. Yeah. Tank's mom didn't care. Tank's sisters didn't give a shit either. They're black women, Native Americans, Mexicans.
I've only seen white women freak out about it.
Yeah, I'm like, it's nothing against
white Americans.
But yeah, white American women. Thank you. And I'm saying that is like it's not like why be offended? It's used everywhere in the fucking world besides here. Mm-hmm. That's like one of those words. It's like as soon as you say it, why?
Yeah, like I use cunt in the like English and Australian style where
like Jim Jeffries.
Jim Jeffrey, like he just uses it all the time. Like why you gotta be such a cunt? Like it's not a derogatory term at all. outside of your feelings.
No, it's not. That's why he says like, "You cheeky cunt." It's a terrible fucking accent, but
That's terrible. Yes.
I can't do accents. You know that. I'm shitty at them. Yeah.
But yeah. Or dog cunt. I love dog
Yeah, exactly. Like
You fucking dog
exactly. I mean, that's like it's shit like that. Like they're saying shit like that, and I don't see why it's so offensive. Like I remember the first time I heard it was in the movie Black Christmas, and it was the horror movie about the guy who had jaundice and he started killing people with candy canes. Wasn't a great movie.
Sounds terrible.
I'll rent it one of these days. It's not great. Not as bad as some I've seen, but definitely not.
Can I make a quick side point real
Yeah.
quick? Sometimes I feel like I have a superpower that I can see a movie title or the picture for a movie and go, that is shit.
Yeah.
Because especially I used to just be like, oh, come on, everyone can tell that's shit. And then I see so many people that are like, oh, this looks like it would be a good movie.
Well,
I'm
this
like,
is a remake.
"You're
Black Christmas is like a
wrong."
remake. Like it came out like in the 70s or 80s or something like that.
But yeah, like, to where I look at them like, you're wrong, you're going to hate this movie. And then they watch it like, that was ass. So I'm like, I could have told you that by the fucking picture.
Yeah. But I mean, there's like, the first time I heard it, my stepbrother, it's because she's like, oh, you cunt. And my stepbrother's like, oh, she said it in a movie. And I asked him like, why? What does that mean? He's like, that's like the worst word you can call a woman ever. I'm like, I thought that was bitch. He's like, no, cunt is way worse. I'm like, why? He's like, it just is. I'm like, there's no reason behind it. There literally is no reason for me. I could not figure out a reason when I was a kid why that was so offensive.
Well, to me, it doesn't make sense because you look at it and people call people pussies all the time.
Yeah.
And people say bitch all the time, and most people don't get offended, but it's something like you gotta have this special word cunt. Like,
Yeah.
it's literally no different from pussy. It's just a different name for the same object.
Yeah, it's a different
if you look on
vernacular of it.
on the actual, like, meanings.
Yeah.
But
I can only imagine, like,
I feel like a
on
lot of
the-
people are like, cunt. It's just like,
I can
it's
see
a
that on
dirty
Urban Dictionary.
pussy.
I don't know why. You type in pussy, it's gonna come as like another word for it. Cunt. I could see that on like Urban Dictionary. I could see that. Now, guess my favorite swear word.
Fuck.
How'd you fucking know?
Only because you say it a lot.
I say it. It's like every sentence.
I don't even say cunt that much. I save that for just good times.
I say
I do say fuck a lot,
But
but
the thing is,
I
like-
prefer cunt.
But the thing is, like, fuck. It holds so much bravado. Like, I mean, you can use it in any sentence. You can convey.
It's the most versatile word on the planet.
Yeah, it's like you can use it to describe any emotion. Like if you're sad, oh fuck. You're mad, fuck. You can use it.
It's all in the
any
emotion.
way.
Yeah,
exactly.
like, the word
it
is
conveys
so-
emotion so well
Yeah, it's-
over every other word.
It's so versatile that it like the only way of telling how someone means it is the emotion around it.
I know. That's why I love it though. It's like you can use it in a question too. The fuck?
Yeah.
Like you can use it in any kind of vernacular and it works.
Yeah, what
And
the
he's like,
fuck you doing?
Exactly. You don't have to, like, you can lace it in any sentence ever. It spices up sentences. I can't remember what comedian says that,
Hey,
but it
that
spices
fuck,
it up.
You're a fuck.
Exactly. You can use it in any kind of context, any sentence, and it works.
Let's just fuck
like,
around.
Let's go to the library.
anything.
No. Let's go to the fucking library. It fucking works. Like, you can use it in any goddamn sentence. And I know it's been said a million times, but fuck is, like, the best swear word. Because you can, like, literally just, it holds so much weight to the word. Like Billy Connolly said. It's like how he said, it's like fuck is like the strongest word for him. It's like you can tell someone to fuck off. It's like, and it works so well. Like, fuck off. And guess what? They're fucking off. And I love that. It's like only thing I've never ever said it to my mom. Like, I've said it around her, but I've never said it to her. But I think it's because I'm still scared of my mom.
You've never said fuck?
I've said it around my mom.
Okay.
I've said, like, oh, what the fuck? I've said that, but it's like, I've never said to her, like, oh, fuck you, or something like that.
Oh.
I've never said that. But it's like,
I get that.
I'm scared shitless of my mom still.
I swear around my mom all the time. Like, she usually.
My
owns
mom's
shit.
got a good arm.
Yeah.
Like,
I could.
like
I
my
could,
mom's
I could
got a
see
solid
Mama Shard just ready to backhand just about
Oh,
anyone.
not even just that. If I'm distance, her range is incredible. Like, she can
is
throw
it like
a
Asian women
spiral
in flip-flops?
football.
Or no, not Asian women. Like Mexican mothers in flip flops.
Yeah, my mom's got aim. like a wooden spoon in her hand is as lethal as like a fucking throwing star. Like I remember as a little kid when I said my first swear word, I was like sitting on like the little black couch, sitting there hanging out, and then I remember I was like watching TV and we watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and there's a scene that comes up. And everyone knows the fucking scene. It's the scene where the Black Knight gets his arms cut off and his legs cut off.
He's got a flesh wound.
Yeah. He's like, come at me, you pussy. And I repeated that word. I'm like, come at me, you pussy. And without blinking, my mom was in the kitchen stirring up hamburger helper with the wooden spoon. And she heard pussy. She's like, throws it in right in the back of the head. I didn't have a second to fucking blink or think about what I said. She's like, don't say that word ever. Okay, Mom.
All right.
Right in the back of the head. I still have a little
Obviously
dead
didn't work.
But...
But...
Oh no, it worked for like a solid 10 years. Like I remember, like my mom had very effective techniques of how to do that too. Like I remember the first time I flipped her off, it was like same apartment. I was like 10, 11 years old at that time. I flipped her off because I didn't want to go to my dad's house because I didn't want to live with my dad at that point, and she was mad at me. So I flipped her off. She grabbed both my middle fingers, started bending them. I was like, nope. I'm like. I didn't flip her off again. I never flipped her off since. Okay, I flipped her off in pictures, but it's only because she used to do that, and I totally do it back to her now.
I do it too.
Yeah.
We'll both be sitting in like the dunes or something like that, just
Exactly,
flipping off the
we're
camera.
raising middle fingers. All right, you want to end this podcast up?
We can keep going. I mean, how long are we looking at? How far in are
Like
we?
mid-hour 20.
We can keep it going.
All right, fuck it. So, who do you think's a better vocalist then? James Hetfield or what's his fucking name? Megadeth.
You're talking about I feel like there's a lot of people yelling at me right now.
I know, there's someone yelling at me right now.
Cliff.
No, that's Cliff Burton. That's the bassist.
No,
Metallica.
Burton. You're right.
The ex-bassist.
Why can't I think of this?
Oh, I'm gonna Google that really quick.
This.
But the Symphony of Destruction.
I should know this. Like, this is very depressing for me.
I know. The thing is, like, it's only because we're on the spot, and I know it by heart generally.
Most of
But
the time
as soon as I Google
give me the
it, I'm
first
gonna
name.
figure
I
it
can
out.
tell you the last name.
Dave Mustaine.
Dave. All you had to say was Dave. I would have.
Dave Mustaine. Why the fuck did I not think of that? Yeah, it's because we're on the spot. But yeah, Dave Mustaine or James Hetfield. Who do you think's better?
I'm gonna have to say. What time period are we talking?
From forever. Because they started the bands around the same time. Dave Mustaine was in Metallica.
Yeah, for those who don't know.
Yeah, Dave Mustaine was in Metallica, and then he got kicked out because he was kind of a fucking ass.
He broke a lot of equipment.
Exactly.
So they were tired of his ass.
Yeah, so...
He's an alcoholic from hell and back, still.
So when he was in... Then he started Megadeth, and there's been arguments I had at work and with other friends that Metallica made bad albums, Megadeth's never made a bad album. Some people have said that. I have not listened to Megadeth that much. I listened to a couple of albums.
That's why Megadeth's more popular, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I would tell that to anyone who said that to me because I like Metallica way more. I'd be like, yeah, that's why they're more popular, right?
Yeah,
That's why they sell out arenas. That's why they played in over 500,000 people. Yeah.
That's why Megadeth's tickets go for $300-$400 a ticket.
Yeah.
Everyone fucking knows that.
There's a reason why they're so popular.
No, well, I've had people actually literally argue that before. Like, Megadeth's never made a bad album, at least. Like, Metallica's Black Album, garbage. Like, it's not a bad album. It's overplayed.
Black's good.
Yeah, it's not a bad album. It's just overplayed. Like,
I'm not the biggest fan of, like, the newest albums, but...
No, I mean...
If you're looking at the same time period, sorry.
Oh, that new album, that new one they came out with?
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that one actually a lot.
Oh, yeah, the newest one?
Yeah, like Moth to Flame and shit like that. Like, I did like that album. I was actually thoroughly surprised by that last one.
Yeah,
but like Death Magnetic, I didn't really. It wasn't my kind of like. I could see the appeal of it. Yeah. It just wasn't mine. I just didn't like. I like that aggressive Metallica. That fucking gong, like that fucking
For Whom the Bells
in their
Toll
shit.
Is.
Yeah, like the Battery, Sanitarium. I love that.
I know
shit.
there's people going, Dave Mustaine wrote that song. Oh fucking well.
I know, but it's like. I don't know.
He wrote part of it.
Like I said, I've always been a Metallica fan. My mom's ringback tone is kind of dates my time frame. My mom's ringback tone for fucking her cell phone literally was For Whom the Bells Toll. Like I listened to that song almost every day when I had a caller.
You can't beat that.
Exactly. It became one of my favorite songs of all fucking time. It's a great song. I still listen to this day. I listen to that whole album, Ride the Lightning. Like, Metallica is one of the best bands ever.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a quick break for a second, and we'll come back to
Actually, I
this.
say we just end it for right now. And then,
Well,
if anything, we'll make another one tomorrow. As you guys can hear, the dog's barking as well with that, so we got to take him out. So I say we take a little break, call for a night as well tonight, and then we'll upload another one tomorrow as well with that. So this is episode 3. We'll upload episode 4 here shortly as a second part of this.
Yes. This
All
will
right.
continue.
It's to be continued. Thank you again. Have a great day from All the Way Great. Hope you have a great day.